I do tell people when the markets are risky. Simple retracement of the weekly candle that we just got. Like, it's not that much to ask for, right?
You had to do 100 push-ups a day until Bitcoin sees 100K.
In an established 5-day uptrend is actually bullish, right? You're
Swole is the flopping groper at 100K or over. Be swole is the flopping groper. Swole is the
Yo, what's poppin'? It's your boy Cassius Cuvée. I got a very special guest today, the Flopping Groper. How's it going?
How's it going?
Man?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Good to be on the channel, Cassius. Thanks for the cameo, man. Appreciate you. How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm feeling great. And, you guys don't know, last year, my man here put me on the Trader Showcase on his channel and on the Market Cipher channel. So I got to return the favor now that I've got my camera up and running and I'm live streaming a bit now. And I got to have you on the show, man. So, first of all, congratulations on 5K subscribers on YouTube, man.
Yes. Thank you, man. Yeah, 5K was kind of a big milestone, man. So we did like a little bit of a giveaway and spread the love a little bit, man. But, man, I'm just happy to be here, bro. Whether it's 5K subs or 500 subs, I'm just as passionate now as I was when I started, man. And I hope it's 10K by the end of the year. Gosh dang it. But we're going to keep going, man. I'm going to keep going, not stopping anytime soon. So, yeah, man, thanks for having me.
So if you guys don't know, he's got a YouTube channel called, and it's called, what is the name of the YouTube channel so they search for it correctly? And I'll put it on the screen.
It's called Nick Cipher. At Nick Cipher is my handle, but my name on YouTube is just FG. So just the two letters, FG.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up here just for a second so they can see it here.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
And yeah, we cover. I mean, last year there was a lot of push-ups on there because I was doing the 100K push-up challenge, but this year it's a little more professional, mostly just crypto updates. A couple live streams a month, and just my alpha, just like market alpha. You know, not every day. There's not always a good trade every day, and so like whenever I see something that's worthwhile, that's valuable to people, I'll post it. And so the channel grows through organic sharing and like word of mouth and people who know me. I'm not really playing that YouTube algorithm game, man, because I don't want to. I can't honestly.
I feel you.
I don't even think people want to hear me every day, man. I don't want to hear myself every day, you know? So it's like,
but you got a lot of information. And I mean, obviously, you work with Market Cipher here, obviously. And so you know the platform quite well. Now, if you guys don't know, Market Cipher is an indicator that myself, I lean on it heavy. Obviously, you do. There's a big Market Cipher community. And this is an indicator that really helps us learn when to enter and exit trades. And I would like you to, share some of that with us. I got a couple of specific questions about it. And then I wanted to go into some of your other strategies. You guys don't know, he's got a private Discord group. And also on his channel, he goes over it. So, if you don't mind, we'll get right into it. And just real quick on the 100K challenge, because you posted today on Twitter. You said, do 100 of something today. I said, right on. And if you guys don't know, the song that you heard at the beginning and the music in the background, it was a song I made for him called the 100K Swole Challenge, which was you had to do 100 push-ups a day until Bitcoin sees 100K. I got to tell you, man, it did motivate me. So I appreciate you for starting the challenge.
You're welcome, man. That was like a legendary cultural phenomenon, hitting 100K. And like, to me, being a part of Market Cipher and like knowing so many traders throughout the years and being so close to the Bitcoin movement ever since like so long ago, the 100K, that moment was like scripted to me, and it's like I just had this conversation with myself. It's like how much do I really believe in 100K? And like I sat down and reflected with myself and like with God, and I was like, man, this is happening. Like 100K is a certainty, and I want to show it because I deal with, like, we're in finance, it's like I help people trade. I represent Market Cipher, and how cool would that be if I could just like do this challenge, get it right, we get 100K, and that makes Market Cipher look good. If we all are like, pretending like we know it's going to hit 100K, it does hit 100K, and then it's like, oh, the Market Cipher people are, we're smarter than the average the average asshole,
yeah, we're smarter than the average jackass trader. But no, I mean, the thing is, I made a song called I Know that I debuted actually on CNBC And it was, you know, in 2022 at the beginning of the bear market, it was February of 2022. And I was like, I know, even though Bitcoin price is pulling back, I'm like, it's going to go to 100,000 one day. Ever since I first learned about it, I was like, no, this is a real thing. I don't know if I knew when it would happen or how exactly we would get there. But, you know, we did it, man, last year. And, you know, you started the challenge.
Sure did, man.
You know, doing 100 push-ups a day. We were months long doing 100 push-ups a day. So, really, that's why the song goes at 100K or over. Be swole as the Flopping Groper. Like, you genuinely get a good workout doing that. So, anyways, I mean, that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm glad you're pushing that, preaching that. And, you know, it goes hand in hand with trading. So, without further ado, I'll let you get into the charts. I'll hide my bubble here. And,
sure,
you know,
man.
One of the things I specifically wanted to ask you about, because I saw it on Instagram. You mentioned it a couple times, and I saw it too. We actually haven't really had a conversation about it verbally, but on the monthly Market Cipher B, the two waves, that red dot right there, and I'll let you take it away.
Sure, man. So, you know, for the last couple months, actually since the start of the entire year, in fact, like basically back in December, I was expecting like a major downturn with Bitcoin. And the reason why is because like you're in December and you know January is coming, right? And January is Q1 of next year. And it's like, it just makes sense to have a retracement on that previous 3-month candle. So like October, November, December of 2024, you know, January comes around. And first thing I'm thinking of is like, when's that dump to retrace back down deep into that previous 3-month candle? And a big reason why I was thinking that is because Market Cipher B's monthly time frame, this wave that we're looking at here, it had not formed a red dot yet, but it started to pinch over in January in particular. And I was one of the leading voices like on Twitter advocating for like, this is a signal that you definitely want to be leading on, right? You have the option with Market Cipher with these dots to be leading or lagging. You could initiate a trade or an idea before the signal confirms, but there's a little bit of a gamble there. Obviously, I was bearish on Bitcoin in like the mid to high 90s, and it did end up pushing to 108K. And I was kind of just lucky it didn't go higher than that, right? And so when you front run signals, it is a little bit risky. I actually saw like people front running green dots recently, and it did not play out well for them. So sometimes you front run and you get burned. But in this case, front running this red dot was a really good idea. So I was advocating like selling alts, selling Bitcoin, just cash. I said cash plus courage in a crisis is priceless. I turned into Warren Buffett all of a sudden after doing 100 push-ups a day till 100K. I just flipped a 180 and rug pulled everyone's hopes and dreams, you know? And so Groper turned into a goblin. I went goblin mode.
But you gotta keep it real. I mean, and that's one of the things I always respected about you is you give it to us straight. You're not one of these hype boys over here, moon boys.
Hell no.
Bitcoin at 250K and it never looks back. I'm the same way as you. I always tell people, you know, sure, I want to teach them how to make money, but my passion is to keep you from getting wrecked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
people over protocols. That was one of the main like taglines that I came up with like for Market Cipher is like, yeah, it's just we're just selling indicators, man. But at the end of the day, man, like we've learned to have a strong connection with our community. And a lot of these guys are in here every day. They're passionate and you really get to know these people. And like, truly, I love our people. Like they've made me and my brother who we are today by supporting us. And like, and so, you know, that's what it's all about, man. People over protocols. I'm not going to just shill. I'm not like certain people who show you this crazy lifestyle and then just say, buy Bitcoin at all times, like even at tops and stuff. And when you get wrecked, it's like, oh, who cares? Screw you.
Right.
I do tell people when the markets are risky. And so that was my big thing in January was like talking about how risky the markets were. And that was a major victory. Now, obviously, past victories, nobody gives a crap about what you did. They care about what you are doing, right? Like you could be right about the last 10 moves and people will still be like, well, now what, FG? You know what I mean? Like, because they didn't believe you before, but now they trust you because you were right. And so now they want you to lead them into the next reality that they have no idea what the hell's going to happen, but they think you might, even though you really don't either. You know, every idea we make is really just a gamble or like an educated guess or like an inference, right? And so future results, past results don't indicate future results, right? So it's like you never know if like like I might get something wrong in the future. But I am proud of like how we played that beginning of the year situation. That was really nice. Called a nice like macro long at the start of this month too. So, that's another thing is like despite this wave looking so bearish, I mean, at any like next month, for instance, this line could lose the 60 line Cassius and we could go down. I mean, this thing could arc down straight back down to 70K, in a week's time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a real possibility in my eyes. That being said,
Let me just
there
say
was
one thing. I forgot to say.
yeah,
Nothing on here is financial advice. We're just giving our opinions and what we see on the market. I just got to put out the disclosures. I got to say that every time.
Sell all your crypto. Sell it all.
This is our opinions. But I got to say my opinions happen to align with yours. And I think that's because we largely look at Market Cipher a lot, and I got to tell you, of everything I've seen over the years, Market Cipher is like the most accurate indicator I've ever seen. And I lean heavy on Market Cipher B, those momentum waves. That's kind of my bread and butter. I know you've got multiple tactics as well, but that's why I saw exactly what you saw on there. Full disclosure, I'm short right now, but this is like a weekly trend. This is not like a long-term short. This is just expecting a pullback after the move we just had. But I want you to show, if you could there's one piece of education, just straight up for you guys listening right now. If you want to learn something that you can do on TradingView that he taught me that I would like to share, and that's the 5-day SMA setup. But it's not just the normal moving average; it's fixed. So it doesn't change when you change the time frames. It sticks on your screen no matter what. So when people see the gold line on my screen, it never changes every time. I don't like having too many lines on the price chart, but that's one that I permanently have up there. If you can share with the audience exactly how to do that setup, I think that'd be helpful to a lot of folks.
Yeah, we can tackle that. So moving averages, a fixed moving average. So a big part of my strategy is like I employ a fixed moving average, and it's a 5-day moving average. So obviously, if you were to average 5 days, it would be a kind of like a jagged line going from one daily candle to the next, and it would be like And so you have to get kind of creative with how you generate a fixed moving average. It kind of takes some knowledge of time frames. But the reason why I use a fixed moving average is because I like to like go across all the time frames, and I like that moving average to be the same value no matter what time frame I'm on, whether I'm on the 10-minute or the hourly or the 1 day or whatever. Because normally with moving averages, it's just like X amount of previous candles, right? And so a 20 MA, for instance, is a different value whether you're on the 5-minute chart or the 30-minute chart or the hourly or whatever. And so when someone says, "Oh, there's a death cross on Bitcoin," that's like always the dumbest thing you could tweet, in my opinion, because on one time frame there may be a death cross, but on another time frame there's probably a golden cross, right? So it's just like you could just cherry pick whatever time frames moving averages fit your narrative. And I never really found much value out of non-fixed moving averages, although you can find some success with like just two regular moving averages, like a long one and a short one, and when they cross and all that stuff, like that is a valid strategy. I'm not hating on that at all, but some people like to get that line fixed, right? So what you can go ahead and do is you go into indicators, totally free indicators here. You search moving average simple, I believe. Let's see, you click moving average simple, and you're going to see this blue line popping up. We're going to go into the settings, and you can see the time frame here. So this is by chart. When it says chart like this, it's just saying that the time frame is whatever time frame you're on. And so it's going to be, looks like a 14 candle. Let's see, this is a 9 candle average. See this, the length is 9. So it's the previous 9 candles of whatever time frame you're looking at. Now, if you wanted this to be a 5-day fixed moving average, you would think that you would go 5 and you change the time frame to 1 day. But like I said, that creates quite a jagged line, I'm pretty sure. It's a little too jagged for me. So what I ended up doing is choosing a time frame source that's very small. I believe it was the 5-minute chart. And then I changed the length to like 1440. I did the math, and I basically discovered that there's this many 5-minute candles in 5 days, right? And so when you do it like this creates a very smooth, fixed 5-day moving average. And now when I go across the time frames, look, I'm going across different time frames here, and we're gonna check this value here. It's at 94,022. It should stay the same if I go across different time frames. So see, 1 minute, 94,022. 45 minute, 94,022. Yep. So now, once you specify a specific time frame of which this moving average derives its source from, now it's fixed. And now you can rely on that as a strong support or resistance, like agnostic of the time frame that you're on. So it's a very simple concept, but probably the most complicated thing is like, if you want a 5-day fixed moving average, you're going to have to get creative, choose a time frame, and then how many of that time frames are in that number of days that you're choosing, whether it's a 5-day or a 7-day or a 3-day or whatever.
Correct. Take a look at mine. I set mine up. I was copying yours when you had it. I don't know if it was a live stream or where you first showed it, or maybe it was on Twitter. But let me just take a quick look at mine real quick. Is this is how I've got mine set up here. Got length 120, source. I literally just copied. I could have sworn this is exactly what you had. Is this look correct? Length 120, close 0, and then you had SMA 5, and then time frame 1 hour. It doesn't move. I know it's fixed. I think we had to. Is that what those are the ones you click on, right? You don't have to worry about that. It's this screen, right?
Are you trying to do a 5-day moving average like the one that I had, or?
Yeah, was this? I thought this was the 5-day. I know it doesn't change when I change time frames.
So you specified a specific time frame, so it is going to be fixed. So you chose 1 hour there.
As opposed
but
to
my 5-day is the length is 1,440, and the time frame is 5 minutes. So it's choosing the 5-minute time frame to derive its data from, and it's the last 1,440 candles on the 5-minute chart is what my fixed 5-day simple moving average is. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, but just the general concept of having a line that doesn't move is what I liked. Because like you said, it's kind of annoying every time you change the time frame. You can make a cross somewhere anytime you want to look.
Yeah.
And so it was like I just wanted to share that with my audience because I remember like kind of wondering that and kind of writing it off. I don't remember how I landed on, but when I saw that on yours, I learned something. I always like to pass on things to my audience so they can learn where I learned it from. And so I appreciate you going over that.
Well, check it out. I have some more tidbits on the moving average because once you start employing a fixed, like large time frame moving average, it becomes a very important reference point and a very important like gauge or barometer of the trend that you're in. It's going to really help you figure out what environment you're in. The slope, I always teach my students that the slope of a moving average is extremely important. For instance, back here, like look at the slope of that 5-day MA, nice and sloped up. So you have a strong uptrend. And that makes you a lot more eager to take longs in this uptrend, right? Whereas like at this point here, you see like the MA is quite sideways. And so, whereas someone may like be hoping for a big move at a time like this, someone using the fixed 5-day MA kind of recognizes that from a 5-day perspective, we're in kind of a sideways, choppy, kind of annoying kind of range, right? And then next thing you know, the 5-day MA starts picking up again. And so now you have a nice strong uptrend, and you saw Bitcoin had a nice surge up on the 45-minute chart off that fixed 5-day MA. And it's not just on the 45-minute. You're seeing this trend of like a 5-day uptrend on all time frames because it's fixed, right? So you're going on like the 10-minute, and even in your smaller time frame ideas, you have this reference point of, dang, okay, we're in a strong 5-day trend, So that's how I use the moving average. I don't actually necessarily use it as support or resistance or like entry exit. I actually prefer to like just look at the slope of it. Are we above or below? And I use it as like an environmental read. If you're in an uptrend, a 5-day uptrend, obviously longs are favored, shorts are risky. It's you might be trying to catch a knife if you're trying to time a big reversal in a strong 5-day uptrend. And so that's the kind of wordage I use.
And you use one of the words I always use, which is the environment. I actually talked about this on my last weekday live stream on Friday. I said, if I was just going to pull up a chart and look at anything, the first thing I want to do is evaluate the actual environment that we're in. And one of the ways to do that is to look at that moving average, a fixed moving average. Like, okay, we're in an uptrend. It's very, very clear. I mean, without any of the jagged lines that the candles give you. And that's exactly what I say, too. We want to learn the environment that we're in before we start, like you say. I don't use it to determine when to enter and exit. I use Market Cipher for that, to be honest with you, right? But that gives you an idea of, okay, what I'm looking at first. And that's kind of the difference between there's a lot of indicators that, like, give you, a general guidelines and tell you what's going on. And then there's the other ones that get into, like, when you actually pull the trigger. And so now I think it's a great transition. You can go right into it. Looks like you're pulling up your strategy here, the thing that you teach in your Discord and on your channel. And I'd love it if you could give our audience here a little taste of it. And maybe someone want to join your spot and check it out.
Sure, man. So, like, I love that 5-day simple moving average so much that I included it in my VWAP indicator. So even though Leapfrog is at its core designed to just generate a bunch of anchored VWAPs off of key dates, I love the 5-day moving average because it's the 5-day in particular is highly recommended by the creator of anchored VWAP. His name is Brian Shannon. If you pick up his book, Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP by Brian Shannon on Amazon, you can pick it up quite cheap. He is also a big advocate of fixed big moving averages. He uses like the 5-day, the 3-day, the 7-day. I like the 5-day the most. And so I included it in my indicator, and you can see like my customizable settings. We got a 5-minute time frame that it derives its data from, and it takes the last 1,440 candles from it. And I also have a nice snazzy little label on it. And so now you see this black line. Let me make it an area so it's easier for you to see.
Oh yeah, it's a little hard to see the black one.
Yeah, the black line's a little tough, but when you make this is another thing I like to do is I like to make these big moving averages into an area. Sometimes you're running a little issues with it, but it's real nice to gauge the trend. And like, just because price falls below a moving average doesn't mean you go bearish. It's like the slope, in my opinion, matters more. It's like, if anything, price dipping below the 5-day MA in an established 5-day uptrend is actually bullish, right? You're getting cheap coin in an established 5-day uptrend, right? And so I would say that the crossover of price, going below or above the SMA, yes, it can be a signal, but the thing I'm looking at most here is the slope. I'm using that 5-day SMA as a kind of a barometer, and it's steering me in the right direction. It's helping me to not take shorts because these VWAPs get you thinking some wacky, crazy ideas, man. Like there will be some VWAP hovering way down below, like, it's like 20-30% away from where the price is trading. And it's like, that like in the next couple weeks or months or like next month or so, we are going to be down there. It's just like when's the time to short? The timing is everything with this stuff. And waiting for the 5-day SMA to actually like slope down, like waiting for a 5-day downtrend to establish itself before like you take big trades in that direction can be very helpful. So yeah, man, it dodged a couple bullets using the 5-day MA.
Yeah, no, thanks for showing that too, because that's, again, it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to know how to use it, right? And because it dips below, I think that's a great point. Maybe it's a good time to buy the dip as opposed to, the trend has reversed. Even look at that wick right there, that one, that bit right where your mouse was on the edge of the screen. You just moved it off the screen when it was going downward, right there, right? Like it was going down, and then it ended up, pulling back. So
this is a textbook. Let me just explain this real quick. So, right here you have a very steep declining 5-day MA, right? And I'm kind of drawing this straight line to kind of exemplify that black area sloping down a lot. And look how the price, yes, there's a bit of a reaction. There's a sell-off here when it kind of hits that region, but then it just rallies up, and it's the price is like doing a move that doesn't really make much sense in relation to the 5-day MA, right? Because you're expecting this strong 5-day downtrend, and yet you're wicking up basically to the highs up here. And that is suspicious. If you are someone who's using the 5-day MA, you kind of know to cast doubt on this move here because you're pumping up blindly in a declining 5-day trend, right? And so when you're pumping up in a downtrend, that makes you more likely to short it. And so this is an opposite example. Just because the price has crossed above the 5-day MA doesn't mean you're bullish. If anything, the slope still mattered greatly. The fact that that 5-day MA was still in a downtrend means that that was a large, big, short opportunity. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, and this is great, and I hope everybody watching is taking notes, all right? I hope you guys are learning something. I'm learning something, something to keep an eye on. Now, everybody, one of the things I love about the Market Cipher crew, just traders in general, right? Everybody has their own strategy, their own style. And I keep telling my followers in my Discord and on my channel that, like, ultimately, I want you to develop your own style, right? You're going to learn the strategy that works for you, your lifestyle. Some people can't trade every day. Some people want to scalp because they want to sit down for 4 hours and they want to be out, right? So everybody is different and has different size bankrolls. Everything is different for everybody. You're ultimately going to develop your own style, your own strategy. I'm one of those guys who I just kind of watched everybody. You know what I'm saying? And then when I got Market Cipher, I studied Market Cipher. I sat there and 16 hours a day, like I say in this song, glued to the charts, got a pee and a diaper. Like I was like, I really got to sit there and watch exactly how the behaviors of the candles are when, like, what happens to cause a 2-hour red dot to appear, or versus a 1 hour, versus a 5 hour, versus a 1 day, versus a, when the day changes. Like, I really needed to see all the way down to the 1 minute. You know what I mean? Like, because I can now know, and I talk about all the time, is like, okay, my scalping strategy, I like scalping, zoom all the way in there, and because I'm like, okay, I have this thing where I say, if you're scalping, you don't fight a 10-minute dot. You don't, if you're going short and you get a 10-minute green dot, just get out. Just cut. Like, if you're up, you take your profit. If you're out, I mean, if you're break even, you're only going to be breaking because a 10-minute green dot, I know from experience, price is not going to blow up in my face, some massive move on just a 10-minute wave, right? At some point, I mean, if you fight it, it will, but like you can get to it without having it blow up in your face. Like, I know that just from looking at it so closely. And I think that everybody has their, the people who've been doing it for a long time, who've spent the man hours studying the different indicators, they all have kind of their own like nuanced approach of what is the thing that they like to lean on the heaviest, which is why I'm always interested in other perspectives, in other people, everybody, how everyone else trades. Because as a person who's trying to figure out what works for them, you might take a piece of this or a piece of that, and you keep this in mind. It's not like any one thing is wrong. It's just like, what does that person want to put emphasis on in relation to what else they're doing? And that's why I appreciate you coming on the show here and talking to us about that. I love how you have I don't do that. I just have the line filled in for my 5-day moving average, and I might do how you got it all black filled in. What do you call that when you fill the space?
It's just an area. Now, the only issue is like when you do a chart scale reset, like if you push Alt-R, look what it does to the price scale when you have the SMA defined as an area. So I usually try to avoid using areas because look what this chart looks like here when I reset the chart. So you have to do this kind of crap to get the... So, for like when I'm personally using the SMA for myself, no area. But if I pop on a live stream, the black area really does help people. People always ask me, what is that area, man? It looks so good. Because when you look at it like this, it's like, dang, okay, like you really can tell when we're in a established 5-day downtrend and when we're in a sideways or...
Right, because you're in the black or you're out of it, one of the two.
Yeah, it gives you a real good idea of like which moves to cast doubt on and which ones to that are more trustworthy, I guess you could say. Like, for instance, this 5-day downtrend here, at the start of March comes around, we pump up from that Trump tweet manipulation. Remember that huge move? This was a top that I shorted and made like 20 grand on my breakout account. That was like a huge victory there. This was actually the Trump election day VWAP isn't on my chart right now, but if you had placed a VWAP on November 5th on election day, this wicked straight up to that VWAP, literally to the T, with zero manipulation above whatsoever, like a clean tap of that VWAP. And so I shorted that, and it just happened to be like a crazy
Can you show us how to do the anchored VWAP real quick for the folks who don't know?
Yeah. So if you ever want to place an anchored VWAP, guys, you go to the daily. I like to go to the daily because it's specific dates that we want to place anchored VWAPs on, whether it's the start of a week or the start of a month, start of a quarter, or an important news day, such as election day was a very important day for the market. So like you could go to November 4th and you go here on the left to your toolbar, and it's just in this drop down. It's with these projections in the same drop down as your long and short position tools, but you go down here and you star anchored VWAP, and you go to the day, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to click right on the candle. It could be anywhere on the y-axis, as long as on the x-axis you pick the right date. And the date we're looking at here is November 5th, election day. So we're going to place our anchor right there, and boom, you see the dynamic volume weighted support generating here. And you can see how Bitcoin trended on this line, came down, find some good support, had a nice parabolic run up. And then as soon as, looks like as soon, oh, this is, wait a sec, this is 2023. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We're going to put this on November 5th of 2024. Boom, right there. And you can see, look at this line. Look how relevant this line was the entire time, man. It's like that is it's the bubble that got popped when we dumped, right? It's like this is the Trump bubble incarnate. This like representing itself as this volume weighted support line. And like once we lost that line, that was like a very important moment. And then when we got that Trump manipulation, we zoom in on the 1 hour, and remember how I told you that short was perfect? Look at that perfect resistance confirmation there on that line. And you're also pumping up out of a declining 5-day trend. You see how, like we were just talking about that, when you have an established 5-day trend and you get a rogue move like this, you kind of just want to doubt it. You know, it's like a fake move, right? And it's hard to say that because price is king. You know, it's like price is real. Yeah. Price is real. That thing really pumped up to 95K.
This shit is fake. I say it all the time.
Yeah. No, but it's everything else that's fake, believe it or not. And the price is actually the only thing that's real.
Look, I always say, I had this argument with my friend the other day. I'm going to have him on the show for the debate. I said, look, the market's never wrong. You know what I'm saying? The market is always always right. The market's never wrong. I said, you know, he's like, no, you were right. I said, look, tell that to my broker. Tell that to my bank account. Okay? The market is always right. Okay?
Yeah, man. But yeah, you can see how that election day view up was important, and it is relevant again. See how we're now reclaiming it, trying to build some sideways action on it, holding it actually quite nice. I was casting doubt on the price. I thought that this year-to-date VWAP / election day VWAP region would be a tough level for Bitcoin, but I do see some traction. It's holding. It's actually holding, and we are in a 5-day uptrend. You know what I mean? So
Bitcoin just crossed
for the time being, man. Yeah, for the time being. But let me just tell you this, though.
Okay.
Once May begins, we're going to put a horizontal line on May 1. Once we get to this point, which we got plenty of time left, couple days for things to get exciting or not. But as soon as May begins, like see this Q2 VWAP down here? That's the April VWAP. That's our monthly VWAP. And so look at the lack of retesting that happened on this line. See how like we never really got to any good structure. Like ever since April 11th, we never retested that April VWAP again. And so when May comes around, bro, almost guaranteed, not financial advice, but I'm like 70% certain that we're not just going to go up to like 180K like some of these analysts are saying. The market undulates, and usually it's around the holidays that things go crazy and you get the big moves. During the summer months are usually a lull, usually a sell-off. And so I think that people, it probably going to pay off to be a little more realistic since we're in the middle of a year. And I do believe that at some point in May, we're probably going to just have a healthy retest of this current month's VWAP, the April VWAP. Since it is a quarterly VWAP, a big Q2 VWAP, it's an important level that we may want to go back to and kind of just reconfirm as support or lose, and it becomes resistance. But just in the same way that I called return to the year-to-date, which was our previous quarter, that's our Q1 VWAP, right? So Q2 began. I kind of figured we would pump up to the Q1 VWAP to return back to where the price feels safe, because we were trading up at 100K for a long time, Cassius. So it makes sense that like the volume is pulling us up there, even if we're still kind of in a bearish macro environment. Even if you accept that, you got to give some credit to the bulls for holding price up.
Man, Bitcoin's been strong
for so long. Yeah, and so
just to clarify for the audience, when he says the monthly VWAPs, is you're placing those anchors on the first of those months, and that's what's giving you the lines, correct?
Yes, sir. The first day of every month is a really important day. It's man, whatever you were thinking in the previous month, a new month is always a chance for like the narrative to shift, you know? And I could point you towards plenty of cases where a new month begins, and that right there, that day is the immediate pivot point. but usually it's like a week before or a week after. It's like around the turn of the month that you get those pivots. But it's
Can you
like new
explain to
month,
us?
new narrative,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
just just so people understand, right? So we got what's called an anchored VWAP. You place it on the daily candle of whatever days are the significant, like significant dates like the election and or the first of the month, first of the year, and quarters. Can you kind of define but why? What is a VWAP? It's volume weighted average price, but like what does that mean? So for people who kind of trying to understand market mechanics and why does that mean? What does that have a significance? I don't maybe you don't necessarily know how it's calculated, but like what does that volume mean?
Well, a VWAP, see, it's not like a moving average. A moving average, they look similar. They're just lines, the squiggly lines at first glance. But whereas a moving average is a rolling set of data, it's X amount of previous candles, right? And so let's say you have a 20 moving average, that's the last 20 candles averaged. Once you get candle number 21, candle number one falls off the block. And do you see how with a moving average, old data is useless and disappears? So a VWAP that's not the case. With a VWAP, that original data point gets more and more important over time. It's a cumulative set of data. It keeps adding each day and each candle on top of the previous, and then dividing it and creating this volume weighted average price. And so by the time we're at now, so now we are basically at the end of the month, and this original data point, this anchor point from April 1st, this Q2 VWAP, when this April VWAP first generated, it really wasn't a strong reference point, right? It was kind of a baby, price trending on top of it. You could have maybe guessed that April was going to be a bullish month here at the start of April, because at the start of April, we had a nice little pop up, but then we lost it. And so usually at the start of a month, you'll see some volatility, but eventually the trend emerges. It's like around like first week of the month, you'll like the dust will settle and the price will really pick a side, and the monthly trend will reveal itself, and this data point becomes more and more important over time. So it's a cumulative data set as opposed to a rolling data set. Hopefully that makes sense, but it's important because there's a volume component to it. So it's not just a price average, it's taking into account the number of shares that are being traded at each increment. And so there is basically, if price, one way to think of it is if price were to dump down to this Q2 VWAP here, you can have a lot of certainty that a lot of traders will have a lot of things to say at that level, whether they're thinking it's going to bullish bounce there, or whether, there's probably a lot of invalidations there, a lot of stop losses there. It's like typically a VWAP, by the time price taps it, it's confluent with a lot of other things. Like by the time price goes down to that Q2 VWAP next month, it's probably going to be like in line with a golden retracement, or all sorts of TA will line up by the time the price hits that VWAP. But
yeah, and because that's what I wanted to kind of emphasize, that it's a volume weighted average price, meaning like you said, how many shares are traded. So like there was a lot of action. This is what's averaging that action, not just average price. That's what I'm trying to, in the accumulative nature of it as well. That's just what I want to make sure that the viewers understand why it's different than just a moving average. The first one, which is what you explained, the accumulation, the cumulative factor that it doesn't drop off, but also that it's not just price, it's the weight, how much volume was occurring.
The volume, that volume, think of that volume as like weight, or there's so many ways to think about volume. Volume's almost like fire. It's like fuel for the engine. Price is almost like water, because money flows from hand to hand. The price kind of fills a crack, right? If there's a CME gap, we like to go there, right? If there's a weakness in the chart, or a gap, or any kind of weakness, like price goes there. If you place your stop behind a high, the price wants to go there and stop you out. And so I would say price is a lot like water. It comes in like a flood and wipes people out. Whereas volume is like fire. And when you combine price and volume together, which is VWAP, right? You get steam, and it gives me shivers down my spine, man, because that's how you get a move. It's like if you want to catch a big move, you can't just have like Fibonacci, because maybe it hits the golden retracement, but is there volume there? You need that volume. You need to know that there's traders there at that level who are willing to trade it, And so let me show you something about VWAP that's interesting to me, man, is you see this, like I enabled the volume candles, by the way, here on Bitcoin. and it's a little small, but do you see this like huge spike in volume here that occurred a couple days ago? Now the price didn't really like spike up that hard for considering how high this volume candle went. How's this point right here? But look what the VWAP did. What did the VWAPs do, Cassius, right during that candle?
They took a, yeah, you could see them. They had a little blip up, like
Yeah, they blipped up. Yeah. And so obviously this line is not just a price average.
Right, right.
If there's a spike in volume, the VWAP will jerk, whether it's like away or towards. You know, the VWAP is accounting for that volatility. The VWAP is basically saying, holy shit, there's a bunch of people coming in to either long or short at this level. And so this VWAP needs to catch up like Heinz, and so that it can be effective for traders, because with this level of volume, we don't the VWAP was designed to generate regular opportunities, whereas a moving average kind of gets left in the dust. The price may never see a moving average ever again, you know, because the price just keeps going up and that moving average never catches up. Whereas a VWAP does a better job of like trying to catch up to the price. And you'll see, like, you know, the weekly VWAPs demonstrate this greatly, where a weekly VWAP may open up down here, but in an uptrend, that weekly VWAP is trying its best to catch back up to the price. And by the time you get like a test of that VWAP, it may be much higher than it originally spawned at. So volume is just such an important component, man. Like,
have you seen the movie? I always thought of this and never got to say it on my show or anything yet. The movie Boondock Saints with Willem Dafoe, and he's describing it as a crime scene. He's a cop. And he's like, there was a firefight. And then they like reenact the whole shootout. That's how I feel like on those key moments the volume goes up. And there's a bunch of buyers and a bunch of sellers. And they're just fighting it out right there. Who's going to win, the Bears or the Bulls? Like there was a massive firefight. And the VWAP kind of helps illustrate that firefight in that moment. Like that's when you showed that little blip upward right there when the volume spiked. Like there was a lot of action. And that's why you said you got a lot of people have a lot of something to say about it when it hits those certain price, because they had a lot of people put money on the line during that time period. A lot of people were buying or selling or fighting on that day, and that that all plays into effect. I mean, you know, when you talk about like getting to the weeds of the market mechanics and how it works and why price actually goes up and down, like when the rubber meets the road, you got to have buyers and sellers, and there's just certain key levels that there were more buyers and sellers, and there was more volume, and the VWAPs, they basically kind of track some of that.
You can anticipate like kind of FOMO-y or panicky points in the market ahead of time if you're savvy with these big VWAPs. And so year-to-date VWAPs are massive, massive VWAPs. I mean, they come, you get one per year. And so it's a really respectable level. And so we're going to kind of talk about, you know, because we're talking about like people got a lot of things to say when you hit these big levels. See how we're currently at that purple year-to-date VWAP region right now, Cassius. So you know, a lot of people got a lot of things to say at this level. This is the level where bears think, you know, we're not going to go to 100K. I think this range is going to hold. We're going to dump from here. And bulls are now saying, we're just getting started. Like, buckle up. We're going to 200K. Like, you're starting to see charts of people just posting the Bitcoin price with a straight vertical line going up to the moon. You know, it's like you weren't getting that down here at 70K, right? Yeah. But you're getting those charts now at 94K, because that's when you get to these big year-to-date VWAPs, that's when actually the real take to have around a big VWAP is to not have a take, because it's still deciding. Honestly, price is literally still deciding whether we're going to continue this uptrend or if that year-to-date it's going to be resistance. But
we're having the firefight. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The Bears and the Bulls are battling out, and that's why we got this chop right now. And you see just
big time.
But I do want to call out the red dot on the 1 day, right? You got a red dot there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do got. It's hard to see.
Yep. But I do want to call that out. I also just kind of my own observations of watching it. When the waves are kind of flat like that, though, even though, I lean heavy on Market Cipher B, and I think a red dot means, like, technically we're bearish if there's a red dot on the daily, right? I can't, like, argue with the red dot. It is real. But when those waves sometimes get kind of flat, you know, like it hasn't fully rolled over yet. You know what I mean? And it's like, obviously we had a big candle up. I guess what I happen to notice is sometimes you do get, like, a retracement. But it's sometimes just that, a retracement. And like a second opportunity to enter your short on a pump. and I did enter some shorts this morning on altcoins. We haven't really talked about altcoins. And just for the audience, part of the reason we don't is because we haven't yet, at least, is because I always say like Bitcoin's like the sun, and the altcoins are like the planets and the stars, and I mean, in the comments and shit. Whereas like they all follow what Bitcoin does. So like if you're doing TA only on altcoin but not on Bitcoin, you might be shooting yourself in the foot down the line, because like eventually like Bitcoin's not gonna just tank and your altcoin's gonna go to the moon, right? You know what I'm saying? So we spend a lot of time on Bitcoin because you gotta do TA on Bitcoin. I just want to call that out. But like some of the I like to play the altcoins, get a little more bang for your buck as far as more volatility is, more risky in that respect. But when Bitcoin retraced back up this morning, or when we were asleep or whatever it was, and then I woke up and I seen a lot of high price from altcoins, I entered some shorts because basing it off of Bitcoin, I'm thinking that some of these altcoins may have gotten above their skis. And then if the TA on that 1 day, if the red dot on the 1 day wave, and then eventually the 2 day, we might go down, and especially like you said, the end of the month is coming. And that's why I've got my shorts open. That being said, it's not like we have a downward trend confirmed yet. So like what you were talking about,
very early to call. Very
early to call. Exactly. And that's like what you were talking about earlier. Front running a wave sometimes is risky. And I call that out in my Discord group. I tell them, like, just so you know, like, I entered this trade, but like it's risky right now. You got to have stop losses, and bankroll management is everything.
A lot of people are just simply over leveraged, Cassius. I think that a majority of traders are very eager to flip their couple thousand into they're trying to double it, getting like a double, trying to like 2x their trading account in a relatively short amount of time. And so usually people are hovering around 15, 25, 30x and all that stuff. But if you kind of trusted your gut and just lowered that lev down to like 2 or 3x, like most of the time, like your ideas will play out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially if using these VWAPs and you're saying, at some point in May, we're probably going to be trading down in like the mid 80s at least, right? And so if you like entered like a low leverage or a spot short, it's like you're basically like a low leverage short and kind of kept adding to it with an amount you're willing to lose, right? If you get licked or whatever.
You have it planned out in advance.
Yeah, you catch like a larger move and like you don't have to worry so much about the timing. But when you're like on a breakout account and you're like using the entire account, then you really got to have that precision. You got to be like a literal sniper. Things get a lot trickier. Not that it's impossible to catch these big VWAP moves. In fact, using these VWAPs, especially like the weekly VWAPs, like the dumps back to the previous weekly VWAP when a new week begins, like a weekly retracement, basically. A simple retracement of the weekly candle that we just got. Like, it's not that much to ask for, right? And not every week does that, but catching a weekly retracement, it can be real nice. Like I've noticed that if you wait for like Monday, Tuesday, if the chart's looking real tired and you're getting Market Cipher basic strategy, like this is the daily time frame, but if you're on like the smaller time frames, like the 1 hour, and you're seeing like momentum waves pouring out, money flow draining out, and we're far away from that previous weekly VWAP, most of the time we really do go down there. And like if you catch that on high leverage or on a breakout account, it can be an easy way to pass a challenge quickly. Not that I would recommend that like high stakes type of trading if you're not like very experienced with leverage trading already. For most people, I would say keep it low leverage, stay around those monthly and quarterly undulations, because it's very easy to make a call such as, April began, we're in Q2. We just want to go back to the Q1 average. And if you have that simple idea at the start of April, boom, look at that 15% move on Bitcoin that you catch basically with like very little drama. It's like it's very hard to outplay the bots on the minute time frames, because they're all over the place and they're designed to liquidate everybody. And no matter whether you're long or short, at some point the crocodile is going to come eat you on those smaller time frames. Whereas on these bigger time frames, you have a little bit more of a chance of kind of like outsmarting the average idiot.
But
you know what I mean?
Bankroll management is what you're saying. That's what you said. Lower that leverage you're using or whatever. So you give yourself more wiggle room. And then position sizing. Obviously, you need to know. Okay, either I'm going to average down, or I'm going to put my stop loss here. Or I'm not going to take such a big position, so I can plan on if it goes further, I can average down a little bit more. And everybody, like I said, everybody's going to come up with their own strategy based on the circumstances. But same idea is bankroll management in that respect. Watching out for how big a loss you're willing to take and or double down. If you're not double down, but average down, depending on what you're doing. Yeah, no, a caution is something that I constantly preach. Because at the end of the day, if you lose all your money, you're
Cautious
out of the game.
Cuvée. Cautious Cuvée.
Cautious Cuvée. Now that is truth. That is the damn truth. Because if you lose all your money, you're out of the game. You know what I mean? You lose all your money, you're out of the game. You can't come back.
That can't be an option. I mean,
exactly.
Man, if you glean anything from this video, that's holy crap, man. Like none of these ideas matter at all if there's ever a single day in your trading career where everything could just go to shit.
Yeah, it's not
like you're not going to get anywhere in life, in fact, if you have days where you just completely ruin everything. Like what if you're in a relationship, everything's going great? You ever been in we're not getting personal here, but I've dated people in the past where like, things are cool for the first 3 days. Then you catch them on a bad day and it's like, whoa, like, I'm stepping out of your life forever. You know what I mean? Like, and so, yeah, it's like, you got to be more stable, man. And that's a big reason why people follow me, is because like, no matter how emotional the markets get, I do kind of keep a more like even keel approach. I'm a reversion trade. I'm a mean reversion trader. Like I always am going to advocate for a healthy correction back to that previous month's VWAP or that previous quarter's VWAP, whether it's up or down. I'm just going to be contrarian because for the most part, it plays out. Now, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the market truly is in a state of mania for months at a time. And to be a contrarian or to be hoping for this big correction that never comes can be a death sentence if you're not practicing good money management and good risk management. Sometimes the market is truly insane, and it can remain insane and nonsensical for a long time. But you got to remember, price is king. You're the idiot, not the market, not price. It's you.
The saying is, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Yep.
Tell that to my accountant, right, and my broker, right? It's like,
yeah, man.
I got plenty of examples of that. I went back in the chart to 2021 when I was trading stocks about when all the hype was happening at that point in time, and it was looking at some crazy tech stocks and stuff that had shot up so much, whether they were stay-at-home stocks or whatever. But like, yeah, the point is you got to manage the bankroll in that type of circumstance. But, I mean, that goes for any strategy. That's kind of the point, too. It goes for any strategy because you want to live to trade another day. Like, we get mad if we miss out. Like, man, I got out of a trade. I could have stayed in. I'd rather get mad at that 100 times than lose all my money on a trade that I stayed in or tried to average down, and lost.
Yeah, no, you got to know when to walk away. Knowing when, because no one's managing you, man. You are your own boss, and that can be enticing. But for a lot of people, it's like they don't know when to stop or how hard to push on the gas pedal or when to throw in a towel. When you're new, you need someone to actually tell you when to do that. So I sometimes I'll tell my VIP I'm not trading today, or I'm waiting for next week, or I'm waiting for the new monthly period to start before I start forming any big ideas.
Yeah. And
just saying something like that can be really helpful to people, like knowing that. Or for instance, calling out a sideways 5-day trend. That just that simple, just telling someone, man, we're choppy right now, might save someone. You know what I mean?
And sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. I say it all the time. And
100%. Inaction is action.
Yeah. We're trying to protect our bankroll here. We're trying to wait for the opportune moment. There's no reason not to. That's why I do always say in my Discord, I tell them, like, if I'm zooming into scalp because I don't know which way direction the larger trend is, like, I'm making that very clear. This is not your whole bankroll. I'm testing the waters. I kind of like trading a lot. It keeps my sword sharp. I like getting a lot of reps. That's me. But in general, like, yeah, it's better to wait for a high conviction moment. Like, I caught Bitcoin at 75K long. You know what I'm saying? That was the right moment. And I kind of waited on that one. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now I'm like, I think we could roll over. I think we're due for a pullback. But I'm not over here saying, like, it's for sure going to happen right now, tomorrow. I'm not saying that.
The timing isn't really quite right? Like, think about it. Imagine we're at the end of April. This, like, a monthly narrative can go on for the entire extension of the month, and it will end on, like, the first day of the next month, or it could spill over. The hopefulness that we're seeing currently in the crypto markets may spill over into May a little bit, but at some point in May, we're going to see daily candle closes under that new May VWAP, and that's going to be very indicative of sell and May walk away, right? And so when we're in the middle of May and you're seeing candles closing under the May VWAP, now you have like the high confidence to tell your VIP or whatever, oh, I think we really are going to go back down like to the mid 85s or something on Bitcoin, right? timing is everything, bro. And
Everything,
so
yeah.
that's why the VWAPs help me, because instead of calling for a correction down to that Q2 VWAP like all month, which I did bang my head on a couple shorts and lose somebody, and I ended up just kind of breaking even in April. Kind of a shitty month for me. But it would have been a lot worse if I wasn't anticipating more short opportunity coming next month, right? So
Right, you get another chance. Yeah.
I'm not gonna bet the farm on a short and like lose all my money this month, because I know that if I wait till May, where there probably is gonna be like a really nice correction down sometime in May.
I mean, also the momentum waves are going to roll over. I mean, the red dot on the 1 day doesn't mean that it's going straight down right now, but like eventually it turns to a 2 day, and then a 3 day, and a 4 day, and then a 5. You know, what I mean, like eventually the momentum is going to roll over. Nothing goes in a straight line up forever. I mean, and also too, like we're not in the same mania as we were right after the election, and I'm looking at some deep waves and a lot of hopium out there, and this is not that same.
I mean, a daily wave, Cassius Cuvée, man, a daily wave signal, the 1 day chart is a very important chart for me. It's like kind of gauges a lot, and it's a big enough time frame. It's a big time frame.
It is.
When you have a big monthly VWAP idea, such as like I'm looking for evidence of a potential correction from that May VWAP coming in a week or so here down to the April VWAP. If the 1 day Market Cipher agrees with me, and I go on Twitter and the sentiment is the opposite, because I want to do the opposite of what the herd is thinking. Those two things. Exactly. Not always, actually. Like down here at these lows, people were calling for bear market. People were saying,
then the Bears are banging.
Yeah, man. I seen some kids who were not saying shit up here. Now we're down at like in the 70Ks, and now they're hating on Michael Saylor. It's like, it's like, you whippersnappers, man. I was throwing shade at Michael Saylor when we were at like 97K, man.
Oh man, I keep my thoughts of Michael Saylor to myself, but yeah, bro, like this guy.
Yeah, I don't say shit about Michael Saylor when we're already cheap. But when we're overpriced, I'm gonna be loud,
you know. Famous Bitcoiners, Maxis, or whatever are something else, man. I swear. Again, why I like you so much is you're even killed and you keep it real. I mean, listen, we're traders, so we don't really have a choice, right? The market will humble you. You know, the market's always right.
It gets beaten out of you. Yeah, the gropiness gets wringed out of you like a wet rag, man. Trust me, trust me, man. I was a goon for most of my life, man. I'm 30 now, so like I've had 15 years of being a goon on this earth, getting thrown on my ass, put on my ass by the world. You know what I mean? Like you learn your lessons, bro. And like, I don't know, man. Like I just learned to take, like, life is a storm, bro. And you gotta brunt that storm. And like, if you want people in your life to feel safe around you, then you gotta be consistent. You gotta not be so you can't just be rocking around changing your opinion all the time. And so I'll frame my idea about the markets, my approach to the markets, with these big quarterly and monthly undulations, and I deviate from there. You know, it's like, I definitely think that at the start of April, I was like, I think we're going to be up in the 90Ks at some point, soon, right? So you frame it like that, and you don't say Bitcoin's going to 150K. It's like, let's go to 95K first, and then we'll make a decision. Right. It's like there's so many steps along the way, but a lot of analysts they just jump to conclusions, bro, and like I don't know. It's like
flashy headlines or what, but if you know,
it's all power play.
I pretty much never give price predictions, like almost never. I'm looking at momentum, and if the momentum stops, I'm like, okay, well, that's when I get out.
Because what you're looking at is not an analyst. What you're looking at is a power broker. That's what you're looking at is an ego, someone whose ego.
They want to be
famous. Yeah, man, and they rent all the fancy shit, and they put up a good image, and all they say is buy, and we're going straight up and all this shit, and they make it look like it pays off for them, but trust me, they're suffering inside. Those people, man, it sucks imagine being wrong all the time, bro.
Oh, I know, and that's the thing. We've been around long enough to watch. I've been watching some of these guys for 5 years now. You know what I'm saying?
I know, man. It's like they have like
and then you were wrong on the way down again. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I was like, you can't pull that one on me. I've been watching you.
It's like you wiped out 1 million people's bank accounts, like being bullish at 108K on inauguration day. You're saying we're only getting started. You know what I mean? It's like, man, that was the clearest sell the news event.
Well, but the
I wish I had
well,
a million
the weekend
followers.
Before it, we
You know
had the
what I
Trump
mean?
meme coin. So that was like, I remember I have a private group in Telegram, and the guy's like, we just got the most obvious top signal of all time. The president launches a meme coin. And, you know, I shorted the fuck out of all those memes, man. I'm up like 4,000% and shit on like a whole bunch of meme coins. I was like, this hype got in, man. I said
Respect
respect
to you for that, man.
When I did the
Man,
rap
that's
with
so
you,
cool.
remember I said, you want to trade memes? Fine. Then here, hold my fucking beer. Like, I'm like, there's no way this is going up forever. Like, this, you got to be kidding me right now. You know, as a utility guy, I'm over here like, you got to be kidding me. Like, come on.
I actually think, yeah, you were like more bearish. You were bearish like before I was actually. Like you saw it coming too, you know?
I remember from the
And
last
then we
cycle.
started getting that evidence. And when we started getting that evidence, bro, like I'm glad that it was an honor, honestly, going through last couple of months with you, man, on social media. Like it's been just cool that all the Market Cipher traders get to see the same thing, man. Like we're blessed to be a part of
Remember that
like
dump?
a movement, you
Remember
know?
that dump? We all the market ciphers like stars aligned. The one it was after the Bitcoin conference, I think it was. And then we had that major dump. We all cleaned up on that one.
Yeah, that was
yeah, that one.
this
there.
that
Yeah,
was this one. Yep.
That one there.
Yeah.
We were all in line. I feel like all the market cipher traders on Twitter were like, and then someone later the next day or something was like, who could have seen this coming? I said, what? I said, we've been calling this for days now. Everyone is short. Like, what are you talking about? Who could have seen it coming? And I'm showing them screenshots and shit. I'm like, that's like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
Let me yeah, I remember catching this big ass
we
move,
caught
man.
that
This
one,
was
boy. We caught that one for show. Yeah,
Yeah,
one, with that wick,
this
that
was,
long ass wick down to 50K, 48K it kissed or whatever. Because I remember you closed out the night before. It was like midnight. Crypto face. It was like the morning. He said it might go lower, but I'm taking my profit. I was looking at same shit as you guys. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, man.
I enabled the monthly VWAPs at around that time just to kind of like I was in big swing shorts at this time, man. I made bank on this.
Oh, you cleaned up. You did
this
well.
move here.
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, election years, I crank up the risk like so much, Cassius. Like this year, like I'm like a peanut compared to what I was last year. Because in election seasons, man, things are crazy,
That's
bro. I
what
love the
volatility.
I mean, look how sideways and great these undulations were, man. And like, you know, it's like this, just this whole summer section was great for trading. Like, you know, July opens up, we do get that pump up back to that June
And it was
VWAP.
like-
So
it
there
was
was
like
a real
every
nice
month.
long.
Yeah.
And then so you're coming to the end of July here. Look at Market Cipher. Remember I had just talked about the daily. So Market Cipher's daily was nice and bearish. See this like two-headed bearish wave, and look, we're right up here.
That's the bear div right there.
Yep. And so this dumped down to the July VWAP was like textbook, and we started front running it. So before August even opened up, August 1, basically on August 1, we're already at the July VWAP. And that was like, damn, like the market's super eager to go down if we're already at the July VWAP on August 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So man, that was tough. And you know, I actually stayed bearish. I thought this was gonna get worse. I thought we were gonna dump down to the 2023 year to date. I thought that we were gonna get a yearly leapfrog. I thought if you put a VWAP on January 1 of 2023, it really looked like we were going to kind of start arcing down to like the 40s and then test those ETF buyers, you know? But 50K ended up holding pretty good, man. Then it was at this low here that I finally stopped being like so bearish. And I was like, damn, this is a nice bullish head and shoulders here. Election coming up soon. And so,
Explain
yeah,
the
man.
leapfrog one time before we get off here. Just, you know, because I know that's your big thing in the Discord and stuff, just so the viewers can understand it.
Well, I have a discount code right now. So it's code Grateful, 50% off. If you go to the code, if you go to my Twitter and you go to my link in bio, let me pull it up real quick. So you go to my Twitter at Flopping Groper. Yeah, it's the camel toe, the camel Harris multi-wave pattern, man. Just to frame a reference, you know, just remind myself every day
That
like.
was what I responded to on his Instagram story that I said, I want to have you come on the channel. It was a picture of that. I did not know you had it on Twitter. That's hilarious.
But yeah, if you guys go to my links, you'll see like you could get Market Cipher, you could get my breakout code, but the Leapfrog indicator access plus trading community. Click this guy right here. Right now, it's 50% off. So for like $65, you get my indicator for life, and 1 month of my Discord. After that, it's $25 a month, which is like the cost of a Netflix subscription for actual real trader. You get access to the thoughts of a trader who can actually top funded like platform leaderboards and shit. Like my brother and I have been owning those leaderboards last couple months. But you get the VWAPs with the labels, and like it comes with all these VWAPs that you can enable at the starts of weeks, months, quarters. You get that 5-day moving average we were talking about, and any future updates. You get that for life. You get this indicator for life, and then you get the Discord community, which we got analysts in here that I've elevated because I really like their stuff. People using Chat GPT with Leapfrog and like finding wild success, like all sorts of cool shit going on here in the Discord. We got profit logs, and I even give signals sometimes. It's not a signal Discord, man. I guide, I shepherd. I don't want to like have people feeding out of my hand. But I do put Bitcoin, shitcoin, stock trades, commodity ideas on all this shit. So, get in. It's dirt freaking cheap out of love for the community. Like, it's like I'm not trying to gut people and shit, take advantage of people. It's kind of cheap for good reason. But yeah, man, hop in if you want. I'm always welcome to new members. You can always shoot me a DM or open a support ticket. I'm always here as a resource for you as a trader. If you want someone to kind of not hover over you, I'm not a hoverer, but just a wise voice. If you ever have questions about trading or anything, I'm here for you guys if you get in that VIP. So that's all that is, man.
For sure. So we're going to end it here on this. Everybody, if you haven't followed Flopping Groper yet, subscribe to his YouTube channel, follow him on Twitter, and check out his private Discord, and go back, watch some of his live streams if he doesn't have one coming up right away. You got a good taste of it right here with your boy Cassius Cuvée, and we're gonna do this again, man. I might have to check in with you once a month or something. This is too good.
All right, thank you, Cassius. It's a pleasure, man. Pleasure working with you this last year, man. It's been over a year.
I know, right?
Super honored to work with you, man. I love the song at the beginning too. Freaking epic, man.
I'm glad you love it, man, because I was like, I got to come up with a banger, and I was so deep in the charts at that time, and I was like, in my brain, I had been wanting to make this song for months, and I was like, holy shit, we're about to hit 100K. I need to hurry up. So I got to make the 100K for a Flopping Groper theme song. So I rushed and I did it, and I also, just for everybody, if you haven't gotten a chance, if you don't know it, I left 12 bars open for a second verse. So anybody wants to rap on it, you know what I mean? We can make like a challenge out of it. They can rap on it, and they can add their bars to it too. So, man,
I'm so rusty, bro. I mean, I am well known for like a rap that I made, a cringe rap that I made like dang near 7-8 years ago or something. But man, I've been
Somebody
so
in the
like
community. So anybody who wants to get on it, they post.
Oh, it's got to be me, bro. It's got to be me. I got to like start like penning some good lyrics. I don't know what it's going to take to get my creativity back, Cassius, but I definitely am going to put a verse on that track
for sure.
someday.
Maybe
the next monthly green dot, dude. If Bitcoin pulls back real good in the next year, and we have like another big like green dot push back up to 100K, I'll bring that 100K movement back, and I will promise you I'll put a verse on that track.
For sure. That's what I'm talking about. That'll be fun, man, and we're going to get swole. At 100K over, be swole as the Flopping Groper.
Flopping Groper. Yeah. The Flopping Groper.
No, that was a line. That was how I started the rap I did, Imaginary Traders, when you had me on the show, when you had me on the Market Cipher spotlight. So I took that bar, and then I made that the hook of this song. So that's how that
Man, thanks for returning the favor, man. Appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you coming on the channel. And I'm going to be putting out a lot more content just so folks know, I like showcasing people who do things a little bit different than I do, right? Like I said, every trader's got their own style, their own taste, and I want my audience to have an opportunity to don't just learn from me, learn from other people. I happen to know a lot of people in this space, and it behooves me to want to share that with my audience. So I appreciate you coming on. This was great, man. I learned something. I mean, I know I've kind of seen those before, but I'm back hands-on now with it. I'm gonna go and drop in some Anchor VWAPs myself. So I appreciate you, man.
No problem, man. Anytime. Have a good one, man.
All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow your boy Cassius Cuvée on all platforms. Follow the Flopping Groper, and we're going to holler at you next time. Peace.
All right, peace, bro.